See, let me tell you something about men when they're really in love. They can put on all the tough faces, act like they got everything under control, walk around like they're untouchable, like nothing phases them. But love, oh, love will catch them every time. And you'll know it too, because no matter how hard a man tries to play it cool, when he's in love, he slips up. And it's not in the big grand gestures, no. Those can be rehearsed, planned, and polished. It's in the little things he doesn't even notice about himself. Now, let me paint this picture for you. A man who's in love suddenly starts paying attention to things he never cared about before. He'll be sitting there listening to her talk about some show she loves, and you'll see it. He leans in a little closer. He nods a little too hard, like he's taking mental notes for an exam. And you know he doesn't even like that show, but now he's Googling cast members, pretending like he's always been a fan. That's slip up number one. When a man is in love, he invests in things that have nothing to do with him, just because they have everything to do with her. Another slip up is time. Men guard their time like it's gold. But when love steps in, suddenly his schedule is wide open. All those fellas he used to run with every Friday night, all those video games he swore he couldn't put down, all those hobbies that were non-negotiable. Now he's mysteriously not that busy. Why? Because love makes him rearrange his whole life, and he doesn't even realize he's doing it. That's when you know it's real, when a man gives up the things that once defined his free time just to get a little more of her time. And don't get me started on his words. Oh, you can always tell when love is talking for him. Because men, when they're trying to be casual, they'll slip up and start saying, where? Instead of, oh, me, we're thinking about going there. We're like that restaurant. We don't really watch that show. Hold up. Who's this? Where? That's love talking, that's what that is. He doesn't even notice it. He's so wrapped up, his single identity starts blending into a shared one. That's slip up number three. His language changes before he even realizes it. Now watch this one carefully. When a man is in love, he slips up with his pride. Normally, men hate to be embarrassed. They don't want to look silly, don't want to look vulnerable. But when love is in the room, suddenly he's out here dancing at weddings even though he's got two left feet. He's singing along in the car, even though he can't hit a note. He's posting pictures he never would have posted in his life, with captions full of emojis he used to clown other people for. Love will strip that pride away, and he'll give up cool points just to see her smile. That's the biggest giveaway. When a man starts looking ridiculous on purpose, trust me, he's in deep. And let me tell you the most undeniable slip up. When a man is in love, he starts planning, and fellas don't like to plan unless it's football season or a barbecue. But love will have him thinking 6 months ahead. He'll start sentences with, next year we should, or when we go there, that's not just a slip up. That's a confession without even saying it. Because planning means permanence, and permanence means he already sees her in his tomorrow. So ladies, if you're ever wondering if he's really in love, don't look for the big speeches. Don't wait on the roses and the candlelight. Watch for the slips. Watch how he shows up without even knowing he's doing it. Watch how his words change, his habits change, his pride fades, and his future starts including you without hesitation. Because when a man is in love, he won't be able to hide it. No matter how hard he tries to act smooth, love will make him trip. And when he trips, that's when you'll know the truth. When a man falls in love, it's not always in the grand gestures that you first notice it. Sure, he might buy flowers, plan a date, or pull out his wallet when the bill comes, but those things can all be rehearsed, calculated, or even copied from what he's seen other men do. The real signs, the undeniable evidence that he's truly in love, are in the subtle slips, the quiet changes that creep into his daily life without him even realizing. One of the biggest giveaways is when he starts caring about things that only matter to her. This is not about pretending, and it's not about trying to impress her with money or material things. It's about attention, effort, and investment in areas of life that he once had no interest in simply because she cares. Think about the way most men operate. Men like their routines, they like their sports, their gadgets, their cars, their music, and their own little corners of comfort. If something doesn't fall into those categories, most of the time they'll brush it off. They'll say, that's not my thing, or you go ahead, I'll sit this one out. But when love walks in, something shifts. Suddenly, that man who used to swear he hated romantic comedies is sitting on the couch watching one with her, pretending like he's not invested in the plot, but he's watching closely because it matters to her. The guy who never paid attention to decor is now standing in the store debating whether the blue pillows or the gray ones would look better in the living room because she mentioned it the other day. That's love showing up in small, unpolished ways. He starts to listen in ways he didn't before. When she talks about a book she's reading or a recipe she wants to try, he's not just nodding absent-mindedly while scrolling his phone. He's taking mental notes, remembering the little details and circling back to them later. Hey, did you ever finish that book? Or did you want to try that new recipe this weekend? That's not a man trying to win points. That's a man slipping into her world without even realizing it. He's showing interest not because he's fascinated by the subject matter, but because he's fascinated by her. And it's not just about hobbies or preferences. It's about emotions too. When a man is truly in love, he starts caring about things that affect her emotionally, even if they're things he never used to pay attention to. Maybe he never thought much about her stressful job, but now, when she vents about her boss, he's listening like it's the most important story in the world. Maybe he never cared about how her day went before, but now he asks, "How was your day?" and waits patiently for the real answer. Love makes him lean in, pay attention, and invest emotionally in her happiness, her struggles, her victories. And here's the part that gives it away. He doesn't even know he's doing it. If you asked him, he might say, "Oh, I'm just trying to be supportive." But the truth is deeper. He's slipping up because his natural instincts are changing. The things that used to be neutral or irrelevant to him suddenly carry weight because they're connected to her. Her joy becomes his joy. Her worries become his worries. Her dreams start to feel like his dreams too. That's not performance. That's transformation. You'll see it in the way his conversation shifts. A man who's in love will bring up things she mentioned days ago, sometimes even weeks ago, proving that he was listening even when it didn't seem like he was. He'll surprise her by remembering that she loves a certain snack or that she mentioned a new song she liked. He'll start asking questions about things he knows little about, just to understand her better. If she's into art, suddenly he's curious about galleries. If she's into fitness, suddenly he's Googling the best running shoes. If she's into cooking, suddenly he's at the grocery store looking for ingredients he never would have thought to buy on his own. Now, don't get it confused. He doesn't magically become an expert in these areas. He may still sit through a show yawning at parts he doesn't get, or he might fumble around in the kitchen burning a dish he tried to cook for her. But it's not the skill level that matters, it's the effort. Because for men, effort is the truest sign of love. Men are naturally problem solvers. They don't usually invest in problems that aren't theirs to solve. But once love sets in, her problems, her joys, her little preferences, those become his territory. And in trying to step into her world, he slips up. He shows his heart without even meaning to. And pay close attention to this. When a man starts caring about things that matter to her, he's showing vulnerability. Men don't like stepping into areas where they're not knowledgeable or skilled. It can bruise their pride. But love makes them willing to risk looking foolish. That man who used to scoff at yoga might now be in a class, wobbling through poses, sweating like crazy just because she loves it. That man who never cared about fashion might now be shopping with her, holding up clothes and asking, "Do you like this?" That willingness to step out of his comfort zone, that's the slip. That's the giveaway. The biggest shift, though, is how consistent it becomes. Anyone can fake interest for a day or two, but when a man is in love, he doesn't have to force it anymore. It becomes natural. He starts incorporating her world into his without even realizing it. Her favorite foods show up in his fridge. Her music ends up on his playlist. Her opinions start shaping his decisions. That's how you know it's deeper than infatuation, because it's not an act he puts on, it's who he's becoming. So when a man starts caring about things that only matter to her, when his life begins to bend around her likes, her interests, and her happiness, understand this, it's not a coincidence, it's not an accident, and it's not a short-term strategy. It's the slip up that happens when love takes hold of him, and no matter how hard he tries to keep his cool, he can't stop himself from showing it. One of the clear signs that a man is in love is how his relationship with time changes. Men are protective of their time in ways that aren't always obvious until you look closely. Every man has his rhythm, his set of routines, his personal priorities that he doesn't want disrupted. It could be hanging out with his friends, watching the game, hitting the gym, tinkering with a project, or just sitting in his own quiet space doing absolutely nothing. Whatever it is, men hold on to it because that's how they feel in control. But when love shows up, suddenly that grip loosens. Suddenly, all the things that once seemed non-negotiable begin to shift, and without even realizing it, he starts creating room for her. At first, it's small. He might skip a night out with his buddies just because she had a tough week and he wants to be there. He might cut down on the hours he spends on video games or hobbies just to hear her voice on the phone a little longer. He starts rearranging his calendar without even thinking twice about it. He doesn't sit there making some big proclamation like, I'll give up everything for you, because love doesn't always show up in dramatic speeches. Instead, it sneaks in through the quiet choices. He picks her over something else he used to swear he couldn't miss, and he does it naturally. That's how you know he's slipping, because men don't give up their time easily unless their heart is pulling them to. And this isn't about sacrifice in a way that makes him miserable. When a man is genuinely in love, the things he's giving up don't even feel like losses anymore. He doesn't think of it as missing out when he's with her. To him, being with her becomes the highlight of his schedule, the thing he looks forward to more than anything else. Love has a way of reordering priorities, and he doesn't even notice how quickly she moves up to the top. What used to be important now takes a back seat because suddenly her presence, her voice, her company, those are the things that recharge him more than anything else could. Another sign is how available he becomes. Men are not naturally wired to always be accessible. Most men like their independence, and they often need space to process, to breathe, to feel like they're in control of their lives. But when he's in love, that instinct gets overridden. He picks up her calls even when he's in the middle of something, or if he misses it, he calls back quickly. He starts saying yes more often when she asks if he's free. He doesn't complain about the time being too much, because deep down, it doesn't feel like a burden. It feels like something he wants. And sometimes, even before she asks, he's already carving out time for her, setting aside days or evenings just to be with her. That's when you know it's not convenience, it's commitment. And here's where the slip really shows when love is real. He starts thinking about her schedule too. He doesn't just try to make himself available, he tries to make life easier for her. He adjusts his plans to fit hers. He works around her commitments. He chooses moments that will make her feel prioritized, and he doesn't broadcast it like he's doing something noble. He just does it. That's not something men do casually, because time is a man's most personal resource. Giving it freely, bending it around someone else's life, that's a slip you can't fake. There's also something about consistency that comes with this shift. Anyone can make time for someone once or twice, but a man in love keeps showing up. Even when he's tired, even when his day has been rough, even when he could easily say, I'll just see you later, he still chooses to make the effort. It might be stopping by just to see her for a few minutes or staying up late talking even though he has to get up early. That steady, reliable availability is the strongest slip because men are not wired to keep stretching themselves for someone unless their heart is invested. Think about how men normally guard their time. A man who is single and unattached will often build walls around his personal routines. He'll defend them, justify them, and sometimes even push people away to protect them. But the same man, when he's in love, will gladly tear those walls down himself. That weekly game night that used to be untouchable suddenly doesn't matter as much. That extra hour of sleep he used to swear by suddenly isn't worth more than a late night conversation with her. That weekend he used to keep for himself suddenly becomes open to whatever she wants to do. He doesn't even notice he's doing it because love softens those boundaries without him realizing. Another layer to this is how he reacts when other people notice. His friends might joke, man, we never see you anymore. Normally, that kind of comment might make a man defensive because men don't like feeling like they're giving up their independence. But when he's in love, those jokes don't sting the same way. He might laugh them off. He might shrug, but deep down, he doesn't care because he knows where he'd rather be. That's how you know love has him. It's stronger than his pride, stronger than the pull of the old routines. It's also worth paying attention to how intentional he becomes with the time he spends. When a man is in love, he doesn't just want to be around her in a passive way. He starts planning little moments together. Maybe it's suggesting dinner, a walk, a drive, or even just watching a show at home, but there's thought behind it. He starts looking for ways to create memories. And the beauty of it is, it's not about impressing her with extravagance. It's about maximizing the time they share. That's the slip. His focus shifts from my time to our time. And it happens naturally. The truest test, though, is what happens when he's busy. Anybody can make time when life is slow. But when his plate is full and the pressure is high, does he still find ways to fit her in? That's the giveaway. A man in love won't let a packed schedule push her aside completely. Even if it's just a quick message, a short call, or a small check, and he'll show that she's still a priority. Because when love is real, time stops being about convenience. It becomes about connection, and he'll make it happen no matter what's going on in his world. When a man is truly in love, His language starts to change in ways he doesn't even notice. For men, words are not usually their strongest tool. They'll often keep things short, straight to the point, and avoid any unnecessary detail. But love has a way of sneaking into their vocabulary, reshaping the way they express themselves. One of the clearest giveaways is when a man starts slipping from saying me to saying, ooh, it's subtle at first, but it speaks volumes because that little shift in pronouns reveals a bigger shift in his mindset. It's not something he plans. It's not a calculated move to prove anything. It's love rearranging how he sees himself and how he sees his future. And it comes out in his words before he even realizes it. For most men, individuality is something they guard closely. They like to make it clear that they're independent, that they make their own choices, that their life revolves around what they decide. You'll hear a man say, my house, my plans, my trip, my goals. Everything is centered around himself. But once he falls in love, that center shifts. Suddenly, the words coming out of his mouth start including someone else, and he doesn't even catch it. We're thinking of trying that place. We don't really like that kind of movie. We've been planning to go there. Notice how natural it sounds when he says it, like it's always been that way. That's the slip. Love made its way into his identity without asking permission, and it starts showing through his speech. This isn't just about grammar or pronouns. It's about perspective. When a man's words change, it means his thinking has changed. He no longer sees life as a solo project. He no longer separates his path from hers. Even in casual conversation with other people, he starts talking like she's already a permanent fixture in his world. That shift is deeper than any romantic gesture because it's unintentional honesty. He's not trying to impress anyone. He's simply revealing how much she's become part of his life by the way he talks. You'll notice it in everyday conversations, too. Let's say he's talking to a friend about where he ate recently. Instead of saying, I went to this restaurant, he'll say, we went to this restaurant. If someone asks what he's been up to, he won't talk about himself in isolation. He'll say, we've been busy, or we've been trying this new thing. The change might seem small, but it's massive in meaning, because when a man is still just dating casually, it's all about him. But when he's in love, it's all about them. That's not a conscious choice. It's his heart speaking before his brain catches up. And what makes this slip even more powerful is how consistent it becomes. It's not something he says once and then goes back to being all about me. It starts showing up more and more until eventually, where it becomes his default. That's when you know he's not just in love temporarily. He's in it for the long haul. His language reflects his commitment. He's already woven her into the way he views his life, and he can't separate his identity from hers anymore. It's also revealing when you look at how his words change depending on the audience. Around his friends, where he might normally want to maintain a tough, independent image, you'll still hear the slips. Even when he's joking around, even when he's trying to sound casual, where will pop out, and it might make his friends tease him, but he won't care. That right there is the strongest sign that love is real. Because men are usually careful about how they come across in front of their peers. But if love makes him claim her publicly without even realizing it, then it's written all over his heart. Another layer to this is how his future talk changes. Men aren't always quick to discuss the future because it feels like pressure, like locking themselves down. But when a man is in love, he starts talking about the future without hesitation. And again, it comes out in those slips. Next summer, we should go here. When we get a chance, we'll try that. We'll need to do this in the future. That's not just casual talk. That's his subconscious already placing her in his tomorrow. He's already seen her alongside him months or years from now, and it's coming out in his words naturally. What's interesting is that men rarely realize the weight of this change themselves. To him, it may feel like nothing. He may not even catch that he's saying way all the time. But to the person listening, especially to the woman he loves, it's confirmation. It's proof that he's not just keeping her in his present, but anchoring her in his future. Because love doesn't just change how a man feels, it changes how he sees, how he thinks, and inevitably how he speaks. Even in conflicts, you'll notice the difference. A man who is detached might say, I don't want to deal with this. But a man in love will say, we'll figure this out. Even in disagreements, he doesn't detach her from the situation. His language keeps them connected, even when it's uncomfortable. That's another powerful sign, because it means his commitment goes beyond convenience. He's not just with her when it's easy. His words anchor them together, even when it's tough. And let's not forget the everyday mundane moments. Love doesn't only show in grand expressions, it shows when he's grocery shopping and says, we need this, instead of, I need this. It shows when he's telling someone about his weekend and says, "We had a good time," instead of just speaking for himself. It shows in those constant, repeated slips where I becomes where, because in his heart, that's the truth. He doesn't see himself alone anymore. He sees them as a unit, and his words revealed long before he even tries to say it out loud in a serious way. So when you hear a man's language start shifting from me, we, when his sentences start including someone else automatically, that's the slip that tells you love has already taken root. It's not about him trying to convince anyone. It's about the fact that love has changed the way he thinks so deeply that it's rewriting the way he speaks. One of the most undeniable giveaways that a man is in love is the way his pride starts to soften. Men are naturally wired to protect their image, to guard how they come across, to make sure they never look too vulnerable or too foolish in front of anybody. Pride is often the shield they carry, the armor that helps them feel strong and in control. But when love steps into the picture, that armor doesn't fit the same way anymore. Suddenly, the man who once cared deeply about how others saw him is willing to let that go. And he does it not because he stopped caring altogether, but because making her happy matters more. That's when you see him slip. He'll start doing things he once swore he would never do, and he'll do it with a smile because love has replaced pride with joy. You'll notice it in little things first. The man who once laughed at other people dancing suddenly finds himself on the dance floor moving awkwardly, completely out of rhythm and not even caring. He's not out there to impress anyone with his skill. He's out there because she loves to dance and he wants to share that moment with her. To anyone else, he might look silly, but to her, he looks like the man who's willing to put his pride aside for a smile. That's the slip. It's in the way he stops protecting his image and starts prioritizing her happiness. Another example is how he'll start trying things that once embarrassed him. Maybe he can't sing a note in key, but if she loves a song, suddenly he's humming along with her in the car, even belting it out off key, laughing at himself in the process. He used to keep his voice low in public because he didn't want anyone to hear, but now he doesn't care who's listening. Or maybe he never liked public displays of affection before, keeping his emotions private. But now he's holding her hand in front of everybody, kissing her forehead in the middle of the street, letting the world see what he feels. Pride would have made him hold back, but love pushes him forward. Social media is another area where this shift shows. A man who once clowned other people for posting cheesy couple photos might now find himself doing the same thing. He'll post a picture with her, write a caption full of emojis he once mocked, and suddenly he's that guy. It's not because he wants attention. It's because love has made him comfortable enough to be soft in front of the world. That's a slip he can't hide. Pride says, don't let people see you like that. But love says, I don't care what anyone thinks as long as she knows how I feel. And it's not only in fun moments, it shows up in vulnerable ones too. Men are taught to be strong, to keep their emotions locked away, to never show weakness. But when love is real, that wall cracks. He might start opening up about fears, insecurities, or struggles he never talked about before. He lets her see sides of him that he's hidden from everyone else because love convinces him it's safe. To a man, letting someone inside that deeply is risky, but when he's in love, he's willing to risk the embarrassment, the exposure, because he trusts her with his heart. That willingness to be emotionally naked is one of the biggest slips of all, because pride would never allow it if love weren't stronger. You'll also see pride fall away in arguments. A man's ego will usually make him want to win, to be right, to prove his point no matter what. But when he's in love, he starts to value peace over victory. He's quicker to say, I'm sorry. Not because he doesn't have a case, but because keeping her close means more than keeping his pride intact. That shift doesn't happen easily, and it doesn't happen for just anyone. But love has a way of teaching a man that humility brings more happiness than ego ever could, even in how he dresses or carries himself. The changes show. Maybe he never cared about matching clothes or looking a certain way, but if she likes when he wears a certain color, suddenly he's wearing it more often. Maybe he used to mock face masks or skincare routines, but now he's sitting there with a sheet mask on because she asked him to join. He might joke about it, but the truth is, he's willingly letting go of the image he used to protect because her opinion matters more than anyone else's. And the beauty of it all is that he doesn't even realize how obvious it is. To him, these choices feel small. To the outside world, they look like slips in character. But to the woman he loves, they're signals. Signals that say, I care more about you than I care about how I look to everyone else. That's the essence of love overpowering pride. Think about how men behave in front of strangers. Normally, they'll hold themselves in a way that protects their masculinity, their toughness, their cool. But a man in love will let that guard down without hesitation. He'll carry her purse while she tries on clothes. He'll wait in line for something she wants, even if it's not his thing. He'll let himself be seen as whipped or soft. And instead of being embarrassed, he'll embrace it. Because love redefines strength for him. It's no longer about what other people think. It's about how she feels when she's with him. Even laughter changes when love takes over. A man who once held back, who kept his humor sharp and controlled, will start laughing freely, even at himself. He'll let her tease him, let her see his goofy side. Let her bring out the part of him that he used to hide. That's another way pride slips away, because letting someone see your silly side is one of the purest forms of vulnerability. So when you see a man start to put down his pride, when you see him risk looking foolish, risk being vulnerable, risk being seen in ways he once avoided, understand that those aren't just random actions. Those are the slips that prove love has taken hold. They're the unspoken declarations that say, your smile matters more than my ego. And that's the kind of shift a man can't fake, no matter how hard he tries. One of the clearest slips that reveals when a man is in love is the way he starts planning. Men are not usually known for looking too far ahead when it comes to relationships unless they are serious. Most men live in the moment, especially in the early stages, keeping things casual and only committing to plans that affect them directly. They like their freedom, their flexibility, the ability to decide on a whim what they want to do next. But when love starts to settle in, something shifts inside him without even meaning to. He begins making plans that include her, not just for today, not just for the weekend, but for months and even years ahead. That is not casual talk. That is love slipping out through his vision of the future. At first, it shows up in simple ways. Instead of asking what she's doing later tonight, he's asking about next week. Instead of suggesting something fun for the weekend, he's talking about a concert happening in 3 months. It doesn't feel like a big deal to him in the moment, but what he's really saying is that he expects her to be there. He doesn't imagine his life moving forward without her in it, so he starts anchoring her into his calendar without hesitation. That is a slip most men don't catch, because if he wasn't serious, he'd avoid attaching her to anything long-term. It goes beyond dates on the calendar. A man in love starts picturing her in his life events. He'll talk about vacations and say, we should go there one day. He'll see a house and say, we'd fit here. He'll think about holidays and say, next year, we'll spend it this way. These words don't come out of a man who is just passing time. They come from a man whose heart has already started building a life with someone else in mind. Even if he doesn't say it outright, every we should or when we is love speaking louder than he intended. Planning also shows up in the effort he puts into the little details. A man who once played life by ear suddenly becomes thoughtful about what she likes, what makes her comfortable, what will make an experience better for her. If he's planning a dinner, he doesn't just pick his favorite spot. He thinks about the food she enjoys. If he's planning a trip, he considers what activities will excite her. He's no longer just arranging things for himself. He's building experiences around her happiness. That shift in his planning process reveals that love has changed his priorities. Another way this slip shows is in how his financial choices shift. Men who are detached usually spend money only with themselves in mind. But when a man is in love, he starts factoring her into his budget, even if he doesn't say it. He'll save up for things they can do together. He'll spend on things that make her life easier. He'll buy little gifts or plan surprises not because he feels pressured to, but because he wants to. That's a form of planning that can't be hidden because it shows he's thinking about her beyond today, beyond the moment. He's investing in tomorrow with her. Friends and family notice it too. A man in love will slip when he talks about the future in front of them. He'll bring her name up in conversations about his plans. If someone asks about his goals, he'll talk about what we want or what we're working on. Even if she's not in the room, that's not a man trying to impress anyone. That's his subconscious revealing that she's already a permanent part of his vision. Love doesn't just change his feelings, it changes his outlook on everything. And what makes this so telling is that men don't do it lightly. They know that including someone in future talk is a big deal. Men who aren't serious will avoid it, keep things vague, or steer conversations back to the present. They won't commit themselves in words to something months away because they don't want to make promises they don't plan to keep. But when a man is in love, that hesitation disappears. He talks freely about the future with her in it because in his heart, he's already decided. Even if he hasn't verbalized it directly, his planning shows his commitment. Even his daily habits start to reflect it. He plans his time differently, his energy differently. If he used to spend every weekend without a thought, now he keeps her in mind. He doesn't just wake up and move through his day thinking only about himself. He checks her schedule, considers what she needs, and adjusts himself accordingly. That's planning on a micro level, and it shows up in the way he operates day to day. She is no longer an afterthought. She's part of the structure of his life. Sometimes it even shows in the way he talks about his dreams. A man in love will not just talk about what he wants to achieve, he'll talk about how she fits into that picture. He might talk about the kind of house he wants, the trips he hopes to take, the life he envisions for himself, and suddenly she's in every part of it. He may not sit her down and say, I want to build a life with you, but every detail he adds, every future plan he mentions carries her name even when he doesn't say it out loud. That is love showing itself through forward thinking. And this slip is one of the hardest for a man to control because it's not something he can fake. Planning requires intention, and intention reveals truth. If he's not in love, his plans will always be self-centered. If he is, he won't be able to keep her out of him. No matter how hard he tries, it will come out when he talks, when he arranges his days, when he dreams out loud. The way in his sentences will stretch out months and years ahead, and that's how you'll know. Love pushes him to claim a shared future long before he even realizes he's doing it. A man may say many things, he may make promises, he may use all the right words, but when he is in love, it's not the words that give him away, it's the actions. Actions have a way of telling the truth louder than any speech ever could. A man might be able to talk himself into sounding confident, smooth, and detached, but his behavior would always slip and reveal what's really going on in his heart. When love takes over, he starts to show it in the things he does consistently, in the effort he makes, and in the small choices he makes daily. This is where you see the difference between someone just saying he cares and someone proving it through how he moves in real life. You can start with the way he shows up. A man who isn't invested will be inconsistent. He'll appear when it's convenient, disappear when it's not, and his actions will always line up with what works best for him. But a man in love doesn't operate like that. He makes time even when it's not convenient. He follows through, even when it costs him something. He doesn't just talk about being there for her, he actually is. If she needs help, he shows up. If she's sick, he checks in and brings what she needs. If she's celebrating, he's there to cheer her on. Love pulls him into action, and it becomes visible to anyone paying attention. Another slip comes from the way he pays attention without being asked. Words might say, I care about you, but his actions show it when he remembers the little things and acts on them. If she mentioned a favorite snack in passing, he surprises her with it. If she had an important meeting, he texts to wish her luck. If she hinted that she was tired, he steps in to make things easier for her. He's not waiting for her to remind him. He's already moving because love tunes his mind to her needs and makes him act without hesitation. Consistency is another clear action that reveals love. Anyone can do something once or twice, but a man in love repeats those efforts. He doesn't just open the door once, he keeps opening it. He doesn't just check in one day, he checks in every day. He doesn't just make one romantic gesture and think that's enough. He keeps showing thoughtfulness over time. That consistency is important because it means the actions are not performance, they're genuine. It means she's on his mind regularly, not just occasionally. His protection is another form of action that slips through. A man in love becomes protective, not in a controlling way, but in a caring way. He looks out for her safety. He makes sure she feels secure. He steps in when she feels uncomfortable. It could be as simple as walking her to her car at night or standing up for her in a situation where she needs support. Love creates a sense of responsibility in him, and that responsibility shows in how he acts when she's vulnerable. Even if he doesn't say out loud, I want to protect you, his behavior makes it clear. You'll also notice it in the sacrifices he makes. Love pushes a man to give up things he once valued highly without resentment. Maybe he skips a game he wanted to watch because she needs him. Maybe he spends his money differently to make her life better. Maybe he takes a step back from things that used to be his priority so that she can be his priority. Sacrifice is not something men do casually. It's uncomfortable, it's humbling, but when a man is in love, it doesn't feel like a loss. His actions show that giving something up for her is worth it. The way he includes her in his world is another slip. It's one thing to tell someone they're important. It's another to show it by bringing them into the spaces that matter. If a man is in love, he doesn't keep her hidden. He brings her to meet his friends, his family, the people who are part of his life. He shows her off, not as a trophy, but as someone he's proud to be connected with. His actions make a statement that words can't fully capture. She's not just someone he's with. She's someone who belongs in his world. Even his body language becomes an action that speaks. He leans in when she talks. He makes eye contact longer. He mirrors her movements without realizing it. When he's in love, he's drawn toward her physically in small ways. He'll reach for her hand, rest his arm on her shoulder, brush her hair back, stand closer than usual. These are not scripted gestures. They're natural slips. His body is acting out what his heart is already feeling, and it tells the truth louder than any verbal declaration. There's also the way he invests effort into her growth and happiness. A man who isn't serious might only be around for the good times, but when he's in love, his actions show that he's invested in her well-being. He'll encourage her goals, support her ambitions, cheer her on when she doubts herself. He becomes a partner in her progress, not just a spectator. That's love in action because it requires patience, effort, and genuine care for her future, not just his. Actions reveal themselves in how he handles conflict, too. When a man isn't in love, arguments can make him shut down, walk away, or lash out. But when he's in love, his actions show a different side. He might still get upset, but he works to resolve things. He makes the effort to understand, to apologize, to find solutions instead of just winning the argument. Love changes how he approaches the hard moments, and his actions prove that keeping the connection is more important than keeping his pride. Lastly, his actions show in the way he prioritizes her consistently over distractions. A man in love won't let his phone, his hobbies, or even other people pull his attention away when she needs it. He'll turn things off, set things aside, and give her his focus. He's not just physically present, he's emotionally and mentally present. And that's the kind of action that tells the truth. Because love is not just what he says. When everything is easy, it's what he does when choices have to be made. When you watch closely, you'll see that a man's actions write a story words could never tell. They reveal his heart in ways he may never admit out loud. They slip through in his consistency, his protection, his sacrifices, his presence, his willingness to include her in every part of his life. And once those actions start speaking, they tell a story that can't be denied because love will always show itself in the way he moves.